Am I the asshole for humiliating a dad for not knowing the rules of soccer? I am 18, am a soccer referee. I have officiated since 2020 and have played soccer for 12 years now. I have been wondering about this for a while now. Last weekend, I was officiating a few games for U10 boys. For ages 10 and under in the select league I was reffing, there is a special set of rules. There is a line called the build-out line, and it is essentially a line on both ends of the field, about 10 yards in front of the goalkeeping box. So long as you are behind the line, it does not matter where the players on the opposing team are. You can be past the defenders but not past the build-out line and score. In an older age group, offside would apply and this would not be allowed. However, this is very clearly written in the rules, and in the last game I reffed, one of the kids on the blue team scored 3 goals this way. Behind the last defender but not passing the build-out line, so they all counted. Every time, some dad from the team that was losing kept screaming that I had no idea what I was doing and that every one of the goals was offside. I heard one of the parents say, "It's onside because of the build-out lines," but it was very quiet. The dad continued to shout but I ignored him, and the game finished with his team losing 6-0. At the end, he was swearing to a bunch of the parents on his side, and I heard him say, "This ref is f***ing terrible." I walked over to him after I blew my whistle and said, "Every one of those goals was legal because of the build-out line rules. You should consider learning the rules of the sport before you sign up your own child and swear in front of a bunch of kids." He looked like he was about to explode. Some of the parents looked angry too and his little circle went quiet. He started clapping sarcastically and said, "Way to keep it professional, sir." I then left. I told my parents and my mother laughed. My father told me I shouldn't bother associating with people like that and it makes me stoop to their level. Aida? Edit. Should have clarified, build-out lines are a rule for the league I was officiating. It is not an outstanding rule in soccer for all leagues. I should have worded that better, apologies. Not the asshole, if anything, you were far too nice. A lot of leagues will quickly kick out parents who are being disrespectful to the refs, especially if they're swearing at a kid's game. Not the asshole. The dad may have been sarcastic, but you truly did handle it in a calm and professional way. You swiftly schooled him and moved on. Not the asshole. The only thing I think you should maybe have done differently would be to give him this dressing down sooner. If a parent is being rude and disruptive, you can ask the coach to speak to them at any time. If they refuse to stop, you can ask them to leave the field, park. Him being loud and wrong was distracting for you. It was also certainly distracting for the kids trying to play and learn. That dad blew up because he's a hothead and he was embarrassed. That's on him. You shouldn't feel bad about it. As a past sports league board member, I would 100% expect my league coaching staff to step in after the first incident, and I would expect that parent to be banned from games if disrespected a ref or a coach. You get 10 out of 10 stars for professionalism. I would talk to the league staff that hired you about how to handle these situations. At a minimum, I would expect them to empower you to tell the coach on that parent's team that they need to rein in their own bystanders' parents. If they failed to rein them in, I would start putting penalties on the team. You shouldn't be subjected to that and his kids shouldn't be seeing it. Not the asshole. You should have given him a red card and told him to leave. Edit to add judgment. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You literally did keep it professional. You didn't swear and weren't rude. You just pointed out his own rude behavior. The sarcastic clap was because he knew he was caught out not knowing the damn rules and was mad about it, and that was his weak reply. Would I be the asshole for not going to my husband's family's Christmas? I am a first responder and have been for the last 3 years. My schedule is a rotating shift pattern, days, nights. The pattern is consistent and I can tell you what days I'm working very far in advance. Because of this, I told my entire family last year that I would be working on Christmas this year and reminded them when we saw them. This is the first time I have had to work on Christmas. My side of the family understands and we are celebrating with just my parents and siblings another day. My husband's family is really into Christmas. Like everyone needs to be at SIL's house at 8 a.m. to open presents together and then we spend the entire day together. So when I asked if we could celebrate together another day over the holidays, instead it got shut down with statements like, "Christmas is on December 25th. Or, "I don't understand, can't you just ask for the day off?" So I let them know my husband would be attending solo this year. This morning while I was at work, my husband, who works a 9-5 and is enjoying his day off, texts me, "It would be nice if you could come by for a couple hours tomorrow after work." I declined because 1. Sister-in-law lives 90 miles away, so that's 3 hours of driving. I would be driving home alone at night with not the best weather. 2. My job can be very stressful and my social battery is drained by the time I get home. 3. We already agreed that it made more sense for me to stay home and to have him go to his parents' house on Christmas Eve so they could drive over in the morning together. Well, my husband is pissed and thinks that I don't want to spend time with his family. He's been sending me passive-aggressive texts all day trying to guilt-trip me. We don't know how much time we have left with my parents. It's working because I feel like I'm letting everyone down and I don't want his family to think I don't want to spend Christmas with them. Would I be the asshole if I stuck to our original plan instead of making an effort to go see his family tomorrow after work? ETA. I am locked out of commenting till January 2nd, so I'll just reply here. Thank you everyone for taking the time to respond. I was really upset last night and it's nice to get an outsider's perspective. One of the comments said, "It's not the date, it's the day," and I'll be using that from now on. A couple of you guessed right. Yes, part of my job is answering 911 calls. My husband mostly understanding of how our shifts work, but I usually get pushback on long weekend or celebrations. I have been trying to convince him to come in for an observation shift so he can finally understand, but he doesn't feel comfortable listening in on the calls. I haven't confirmed, but I think what may have caused him to even request my appearance is that his father, who is in the early stages of dementia, may have asked what time we were both coming over, forgetting I was not coming over. This shift schedule is still new to him, and he hates showing up to events without me and having to explain to everyone I'm not there because working. This is definitely something we are going to have to work out before we try and have kids. Thanks again everyone and Merry Christmas. Especially to all my fellow first responders, healthcare workers, shift workers and anyone who has had to work at the 24th of July 365 job. I work in the field of emergency services and the fact is that we, as a group, are never off duty. And unless you are going to screw your colleagues, and they're going to somehow allow it, you have to take your share of holiday shifts. My family is completely used to celebrating important occasions with me on the wrong calendar date. I don't know how long you have been with your husband, so maybe the situation is salvageable, but he needs to get with the fucking program yesterday. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Driving 3 hours in the dark after a long shift isn't a great idea, even if it is Christmas. Assuming you usually attend these or other family events, there is no need to claim you don't want to spend time with his family. They were warned far in advance, and it's not fair to you that they are acting surprised and hurt. I mean, is there some reason in particular he is using the "we don't know how much time we have" guilt trip? Are his parents in bad health or very old? If not, I would very politely say to his family, "BC, they're probably the reason husband is pressuring you. I know you were disappointed, but told you I couldn't come ages ago, and I would appreciate if you stopped trying to guilt trip me about something I can't control." Looks like hubby is more interested in sucking up to his family than your safety. You are not the asshole. The passive-aggressive guilt trip bullshit needs to stop. Not the asshole, your husband knew about your schedule long ago. This is your job and he is well aware of all that entails. Do not let him guilt you into changing your original plans. My niece is a police officer and her schedule constantly changes, so my sister's family has always planned their celebrations around her work schedule. You aren't refusing to see them, you simply asked to change the day for this year. Not the asshole, clearly your husband's family have been complaining to him. But honestly, I doubt your husband's family would give this type of grief if a son-in-law had to work. And unless they are going to die before your next shift break, aka weekend. I don't see how them being old matters. Your husband can take a day off from his work and drive you 90 minutes each way to create a second Christmas celebration with them if it is that important you celebrate with them. Not the asshole, nobody wants to have to drive 3 hours after a long day at work, especially a first responder. They should be understanding. Am I the asshole for telling my coworker to stop printing personal stuff at work? I, 34M, work in a small office where we all share one printer. It's always been like an unspoken rule that the printer's only for work things. Lately, my coworker Jane, 29F, started printing her personal stuff. At first, it was just a recipe here and there or a page or two. But now, she's printing huge stacks like travel plans, tax stuff, even coloring pages for her kids. Last week, I had to print an important report for a client meeting, but her stuff jammed up the printer queue, and I got delayed. I asked her about it, and she just laughed, saying she didn't think it'd be a big deal. I told her seriously she should print her personal things at home. She rolled her eyes and said I was being dramatic. The office manager overheard and backed me up, but now Jane's mad and barely talking to me. She's also telling other coworkers I'm a snitch. Am I the asshole for asking her to stop using the work printer for her personal stuff? Not the asshole. But how is it an unspoken rule? Either the printer can be used for personal documents or cannot be used. If she's telling people that you're a snitch, tell them that she put you behind schedule for a business meeting due to her using the office printer to print coloring books for her kids. Personally, I believe that using a work printer is an employee bonus. However, it shouldn't get in the way of actual work, so not the asshole. She's a dummy. You do that kind of shit at lunch when no one's around, lol. As a man who once printed the entire 4th edition D&D rulebook from a work printer, you suck because using the work printer is a tiny benefit of working in a system designed to squeeze every penny of worth from employees for the absolute minimum of recompense. She sucks because she was so brazen about it that it impacted your work, and she broke the unspoken rule that you rinse the company printer, but do it on the down low. Not the asshole. Once her personal usage affected the quality of your or others' work, and she waved it off, she was the No one snitched, in this case. The fact she even argued with you instead of canceling her printing jobs ASAP, is what caused the manager to overhear your discussion. So even that was her fault. She shout and steal from her workplace, and delay the work of others for her personal stuff. Not the asshole. I think the occasional personal thing here and there is okay, but doing it a lot, and at the detriment of someone trying to use the printer for actual work, is not okay. Neither paper nor ink is free to the office, so I would also say it's a pretty big liberty to take without permission. You also didn't snitch. Accusing you of that also implies that she knew it was wrong, but you were talking to her about it when the manager overheard. Am I the asshole for not allowing my daughter to quit piano? Over the summer, my daughter Annie, 14, asked for piano lessons. My wife and I were surprised since Annie had never shown any interest in music. But Annie assured us that she was serious. Since she's a straight A student, we didn't doubt her. It's also important to note that my wife and I have a rule that our kids can participate in any reasonable extracurricular activity, but they have to stick with it for a season before they can quit. No questions asked if they do quit after the season, though. Edit. Just to make it crystal clear, we've never forced Annie and her older siblings into particular extracurriculars. We've always given them the freedom to choose which extracurriculars to participate in. Annie started lessons in right as the school year started. She practices for at least an hour every day, and her teacher has spoken positively to us about her dedication and rapid progress. Earlier this month, my wife and I went to the end-of-semester recital that Annie's teacher requires his students to perform in. We thought that she played beautifully, but during the car ride home Annie told us that she wanted to quit piano. I asked why, and she said that she was embarrassed because she played the same piece as a 6-year-old and Emily played a well-known Chopin piece. Emily is Annie's former best friend. Since both girls are very competitive and were always at the top of the class, they went from friends to frenemies. A fake. They still hang out in larger group settings but not one-on-one. I reminded Annie of the no quitting before a year rule and suggested switching piano teachers if she wanted to avoid playing during the same recital as Emily. But Annie said that it didn't matter if she switched teachers because Emily already knew how bad she was at piano. Thankfully, my wife is 100% on my side here, but several family members who are with us for Christmas have said that I should let Annie quit piano. You've got a highly competitive daughter on hands. She's self-enforcing perfection on things she does, grades, piano, just from this story. You've got a bigger situation than just 1-year rule you've imposed here. She needs to learn that not being best at everything is okay. Expect it actually. Don't make her regret trying things by enforcing arbitrary rule. No easy answers here. Not the asshole, but I think the parenting to be done here is that you need to teach your daughter that everyone is different and has different levels of ability and to not get discouraged by it but instead use that emotion to get better and eventually she will be able to perform at a higher level. Teach her that comparison is the thief of joy. Not the asshole, but I think this is 2 issues in one. The piano, I agree with the 1-year rule. Her teacher is also talking about her rapid progress. Emily, maybe therapy for your daughter? She's so young to be so competitive and to quit something because someone else is better than she is. Someone, as we adults know, is always going to be better at something than we are, smarter, prettier, thinner, have bigger boobs or whatever the metric or quality is. You are the asshole. They had the end of semester recital. That counts as a season by your very own rules. Your daughter is 14. That is the time in her life where she should be exploring different things until she finds her passion. You are the asshole. Forcing Annie to continue the activity will lead to her hating it and resenting you. Your 1-year rule is, I will be blunt, stupid. If she doesn't enjoy playing, feels belittled and embarrassed by it, etc., making her continue won't help that situation. All you are teaching her is that if someone with power over her decides she has to do something that makes her miserable, she has no choice but to take it. That is not actually a lesson that you want a 14-year-old girl learning. Info. Who is this rule really for, you or your child? Is making your child do anything for a year to prove they really enjoy it? Or is it to justify the money spent? Because I would think the money saved from allowing to quit would then go to something she does enjoy. Edited for judgment. You are the asshole.